57-year-old Guillermo Silva is behind bars after allegedly bashing his wife's parents to death while she was away in Chile. Gabriela Lagos had been married to Guillermo for about a year, and he offered to keep an eye on her 79-year-old mother and 80-year-old father at their home, located at 517 Cherry Road in West Palm Beach, Florida, while she was out of town. Guillermo faces 2 counts of murder for the deaths of the elderly couple. His bodies were found at just before 9 p.m. on the 2nd of July 2022. Gabriela said she was shocked after Guillermo showed her a video of what he did to her parents. He said, "Turn the camera on. Turn the camera on, I want to show you something," she said. "He recorded videos for me. To see my parents dead. I can't believe it. He's a monster, that he can do that to 2 older people." At around the same time, Gabriela's eldest son went to his grandparents' home to drop some money off that night to pay for their bills. When he entered the home, he discovered his grandparents' lifeless and badly beaten bodies. His grandfather was found laying on his back in the living room with severe blunt force trauma to his face, and his grandmother was positioned on the bed unclothed on her knees with severe blunt force trauma on her torso, arms and face, and had a laceration on her back. Guillermo ambushed the boy from behind and held a knife to his neck and threatened to kill him. The boy fought back though and managed to disarm his stepfather and knocked him to the ground. He restrained him until deputies arrived and arrested him. During questioning, Guillermo told the investigators they had been drinking and remembered arguing with his in-laws, but can't recall killing them. He said at some point he went to sleep and woke up when he heard his stepson arriving at the house. He claimed his stepson attacked him and said he had been holding a knife at the time because he was afraid for his safety. Gabriela's 11-year-old adopted non-verbal autistic son was home at the time of the killings, but was uninjured. Gabriela was struggling to make sense of her parents' deaths, who recently celebrated their 65th wedding anniversary. "They took him like a son. They gave him everything. I don't know why he did that. There's no explanation," she said. It's unclear if investigators have recovered any video footage after Guillermo was taken into custody. Guillermo is held without bond. 38-year-old Natoya Barbie is behind bars and is facing an array of felony abuse charges after she allegedly burnt a toddler who was also found to have cocaine in his system. On the 6th of July 2022, officers responded to Natoya's residence on reports of abuse located in Wabash Street in Durham, North Carolina. When officers arrived, they found a 2-year-old child who had severe burns on his body, and the medics reported the burns were at various stages of healing. There were also 3 children 4 years or under who were left unattended at the home. A 4-year-old child in the home told police that the 2-year-old had been burnt with fire and that Natoya had been watching the children while their mother had been out of town for the past 2 to 3 weeks. Natoya said that the little boy's injuries occurred over the 4th of July weekend. She said she tried fixing the wounds with a spray. She claimed the burn was an accident and said she failed to seek medical help because she was afraid she'll be accused of injuring the child. The medics transported the boy to the Duke Hospital in a stable condition, where doctors treated him and determined that he would need surgery to attempt to repair the damage from the burns. In addition, while at the hospital, a toxicology report found that the 2-year-old had cocaine in his system. In Natoya's arrest warrant, it stated that she had a reckless disregard for human life. She's facing felony abuse charges and is held at the Durham County Jail on a $250,000 bond. Natoya was previously arrested in 2019 for allegedly stabbing an officer outside a local Macy's. 49-year-old Mary Johnson is accused of fatally stabbing her 11-year-old son before inflicting stab wounds on herself. The incident occurred shortly after 1 a.m. on the 10th of July 2022, when the authorities responded to a home located on the 3900 block of North Del Paso Street in Hobbs, New Mexico, on reports of a stabbing. Bruce Johnson Sr. was asleep when he was awoken by his son Bruce Jr.'s screams. He found him lying on a bed with stab wounds and contacted 911 when he found his wife Mary Johnson unconscious in another room suffering from stab wounds as well. Mary and her son were transported to a local hospital. Mary was treated for self-inflicted stab wounds to her chest and was later stabilized. She was then transferred to a hospital in Lubbock, Texas, where she remains in a critical condition. While conscious, Bruce Jr. spoke to an investigator at the hospital and said his mother had stabbed him. He succumbed to his injuries and was pronounced dead at 4:19 a.m. An autopsy was completed and determined that Bruce Jr. was stabbed multiple times. It was discovered that Bruce Sr. moved to Hobbs with his son from Oklahoma. Mary stayed behind because Bruce Sr. believed that she had been abusing their son. He wanted to file for a divorce, and Mary would become violent with him whenever it was brought up. Bruce Sr. told the authorities it had been approximately 40 days since his wife had last seen their son, and she begged to see him. She then came to live with them and spend time with the family before the divorce was filed. Mary has been charged with first-degree murder as the investigation into the matter continues. 48-year-old Karen Baker has been fatally shot and robbed at an ATM while the suspect remains at large. The incident occurred at around 5:45 a.m. on the 13th of July 2022, when Karen was withdrawing money from a standalone Bank of America ATM located in the 9600 block of University City Boulevard in Charlotte, North Carolina, where she was fatally shot and had her cash stolen. The authorities responded to the scene on reports of an assault with a deadly weapon with an injury. When officers arrived, they found Karen suffering from a gunshot wound and died shortly thereafter at the scene. The shooting occurred next to a busy road outside a shopping centre that has a security guard that works on the premises several times per week, and none was staffed when the shooting occurred. Investigators believe that a stranger randomly targeted Karen. The police are examining security footage in the area to try and identify who's responsible for the shooting, and are appealing to the public for any information that might lead to an arrest.